Hello, my friends. Just enjoying a little bit of blended watermelon as I pursue purification in order to better unite myself with the divine and allow the divine to work through me. And through purification, we calm the body, we calm the mind, which allows us to stay present more, which is all there really is to do, is to give it all up to our cosmic beloved and allow God to work through us. I'm doing what we call with a few friends Watermelon Island, which is basically eating mostly to all watermelons, a little bit of other stuff, but majority watermelon. Now, a lot of people say to me when I tell them I eat all fruit or raw foods, they say, I could never do that. I could never do that. I could never eat. I could never do that. Well, guess what, my friends? Once upon a time, I could never do that, right? And here I am. My friends, I was in deep. I had all the addictions and all the problems, that this world creates, right? My chemistry was super effed up, right? I had severe depression, severe anxiety. I was overweight, addicted to junk food, emotional binge eating, pornography, entertainment, video games, scrolling. The list keeps alcohol, weed. It keeps going, right? I was in deep. I was in real bad shape, mentally breaking down, right? And eventually, the universe will back us against the wall. And it says, well, it's time. And I thought to myself, it came to me, I have to change, right? If we don't make a change, nothing will change. I said, I have to do something to change, because if I don't, there is only self-destruction. And unfortunately, even when backed against the wall, many people are so deeply embedded in the illusion, in their ego, their somebodyness, which we can talk about that a little later, that they still can't change. They still are unable to change because it's so deep. So I was forced to change. I said, I have to do something. I have to change or else nothing will change. I cannot continue to go on like this. And it's funny enough, this keeps happening to me because sometimes stress will creep back in. Even though I can realize and observe what stress is, being too attached, being too stimulated, X, Y, and Z, I still get caught in the game, right? So I was backed against the wall and I said, I have to change. So I started, the universe said, you're going to meditate. It's time. So I started meditating. And then they said, oh yeah, how about this guy, Dr. Morse? There comes purification and presence right there. Purification and presence. My back was against the wall. I had to do something. It was time. It was time for me to snap out of it. Presence and purification. Meditation is the gateway, the door in to the life of purification, being the presence and purification, and being the observer, right? Eventually, it takes some of us longer than others to get to the point where we realize there is no control, right? So when we don't need to get hung up on the past, right? A lot of people get hung up on the past. I'm kind of going to bounce around here because it's all related, right? We get hung up on the past, like, man, I really wish I didn't eat like shit when I was younger, or drink all this alcohol, smoke cigarettes. I really wish I didn't do this, because here's the thing I tell people, is like, you may not feel like you have any health issues, but if you're eating a certain way, it's only a matter of time. And the longer you wait to take your health seriously, even though there really is no control, no choice, it's whatever happens is going to happen, right? But we're living on different levels, aren't we? The longer we wait to say, all right, I'm going to take my health seriously, the harder it's going to be. But it doesn't matter, because it's all going to happen when it happens, right? So the reason we don't need to get hung up on the past, or especially what we've done to our bodies, because that was always going to happen. We can only ever make one decision based off of our chemistry and our conditioning, right? That's it. That's it. We're nature running off, baby. And this is hard concept for a lot of people to grasp, because we're so attached to our somebodyness, our ego. The thinking mind has us thinking we're somebody in control. The thinking mind has us thinking we're somebody doing something. The thinking mind has us thinking we know. All these things keep us trapped in the illusion, right? They keep us in this lower limiting perspective. This is why I always keep the circle here. I know I'm going to use it, right? What's the center of the circle? Detached, surrender, no thought, the divine, God working through us, the observer. Stand in the center of the circle and allow all things to take their course. Allow all things to take their course. Don't get attached to the illusion. What happens when we start thinking? Bam! We think we're somebody. Uh-oh, here comes a limiting perspective. We think we know. That's the big one. That's how they control us. How are we controlled in this illusion? We think we're somebody, we think we're in control, and we think we know. It keeps us in lower limiting perspectives, makes us easier to control. Because when we think we know, guess what? We're controlled. We're done. We're done. Throw yourself in the garbage. Well, we can change, right? We change. So again, coming back to why we don't need to get hung up on the past. There is no control. Control only exists in the thinking mind. When we stop thinking, we become the observer. Right? Man, I went way off base here. Where did I start? A lot of people said they couldn't eat all fruit, or they couldn't eat all raw foods. You can. What's the key? Sorry, I'm jumping around a lot. You not give up. We have to realize and accept that presence and purification is all there really is. That's the highest devotions to God. The way, from my perspective, the highest devotions of God are presence and purification. Why? Because staying present is surrender. And that's really the highest devotion. That's all God wants is our attention. But guess what? This world of this sea of stimulation, aggravation, information keeps on hammering us, gets us caught in the cycles of thought, which breaks us out of the oneness, the thought. Because remember, in the center of the circle, the detached, the observer, is thoughtless. So all this stimulation we take in, and this is part of the game on Earth, right? All this stimulation we're taking in gets us caught in the illusion, gets us caught in our ego, our somebodyness. And this is what keeps us in the cycles of suffering. And this is what keeps us easier to control. And remember, every second we stay present, we're dissolving the ego and getting closer to the center of the circle and allowing the observer to come through, allowing God, the divine, to work through us. We don't have to do anything. You don't have to try to do anything. I have to keep reminding myself this. That's why I keep reminding you, my friends, this. You just got to give it up. And God, the divine, is going to take you exactly where you need to go. You don't got to think about anything. You don't got to. I always catch myself trying to plan, like, oh, what am I going to do? Oh, I got to do this. Oh, I should think about how to get out of debt, or all this other stuff. It's all part. You got to let it all go. It's all part of the game. Can you let it all go? Right. So when it comes back to I can't eat all fruit. I could never do that. Hey, guess what? 6 years ago when I started trying to get on the raw foods, I couldn't do it either. And I said, I literally said, I don't know how I'll ever be able to eat all fruit for even a day. There's no way, because I was so stuck in it. But I just said, it doesn't matter. I'm going to keep going. It doesn't matter how long it takes. It's about seeing. It's about seeing what it can be, right? And we have all these examples. That's why. How do we change the corrupted conditioning of the planet, right? I have a separate video I'm going to make called The Truth About Drunk Drivers, which is a whole other, ties into quite a bit, right? About how there really is no choice. We don't choose. I saw a sign that said, put the drink down. We don't, make the right choice. There is no choice. We're a product of our chemistry and conditioning created on purpose. So how do we change this corrupted conditioning, and this corrupted program, which has us corrupting our chemistry and getting us out of balance? Well, when God gives certain people, the ability to come into divine understanding, and deeper understanding and see these things and put these things in place, we then become the examples for others, right? And then we say, this is how we escape the illusion. This is how we escape the toxic food program. This is how we escape the prison society. This is how we escape the cycles of thought and the cycles of suffering, which keeps us caught in the illusion, which keeps us coming back around and round and round and round again. It's like a merry-go-round. As long as we're in the thinking mind, we're on the merry-go-round. Like what is Earth? Look, from my perspective, what are we doing on Earth? It's like, can you come into this world of stimulation and give it all up? How fast can you give it all the stimulation up and put all your attention on God? That's escaping it. If we're perpetually put your attention on God and not let the world of stimulation suck you in. But again, there really isn't, there's no choice. It's all, the game's already over. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to even think about. Right? There's nothing to do. There's nothing to think about. There's nothing to try to do. There's nothing to manifest. All there is to do is give it all up. But easier said than done. And all this ties into me eating fruit, right? I told you about how I kind of started. For me, I could never do it. I could never eat all fruit. I could never eat all raw. But here I am. You know, I've done lots of time all on fruit, lots of time all on raw. But sometimes you fall off, and that's okay. Even if I did 131 days on fruit, 131 days with 30 days of grapes, and I fell off hard. That's all right. It's all part of the learning process. You don't got to be perfect. You're not trying to match what anybody else is doing. You're on your own journey. So don't even worry about it. Don't worry about how long it takes. You got to observe and correct. Every time I fall off balance, I observe. I said, whoa, all right, well, I did this thing. Remember, there is no bad habits. There are only habits. There are things we do to cope with being out of balance. These are all the things. And how do we release these things that we're doing to cope with being out of balance that we don't, they're continuing to throw us out of balance? We have to give it all up. We have to regain balance. How? We have to presence and purification. We have to remove stimulation, aggravation, information. Remember, we're in a world of stimulation that tries very hard to keep us perpetually stimulated. So we're always caught in the cycles of suffering, and we're easier to control. And we're caught in the illusion. Because it's all about control. They're trying to control humanity and suppress the true humanity, who we truly are, our true power. Imagine if the whole world were able to purify and detoxify the body and stay present and allow God to work through them. There would be no chaos. There would be no violence. There would be no drunk driving. There would be no addictions and these drug addictions, and all created. None of this is anyone's choice. Oh, choose not to do heroin. Created. Our chemical imbalances are created on purpose because they want us in balance. Look at the foods they push on us constantly, the toxic food system, created on purpose. And all this is part of God too, so it doesn't even matter. It's all part of the yin and yang. We got to escape the bad stuff. But how do we do that? Give it all up, and God will correct it. God will put us on the right path. You start practicing presence and purification. Presence will dissolve your ego, which will allow you to become the observer and see the truth more. How do we regain true common sense? A lot of what's happening with health and diet and stuff like that is because we're stuck in our egos and we think we know. You got to get to the present moment to regain true common sense so we can be like, we should be eating natural foods that come from the earth, like fruits, raw fruits and vegetables that are uncooked and unprocessed. That's true common sense. That makes sense. No animal cooks or processes their food. What about our anatomy? It's interesting. A lot of fruitarians end up going to carnivore. To me, it makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. That's all. That's my perspective. If you're eating carnivore, do whatever you want. I don't really care, right? But it just makes no sense to me. And it doesn't have to. I don't got to care. It doesn't matter. You don't got to care about anything. Just give it all up. God will lead you. The cosmic beloved will show you exactly where you need to be. And the more we stay present, the more we become the observer, right? The more we see that we're all just nature running off, and the more we can regain our common sense. To regain true common sense, and see what the highest truth is, we have to give it all. We have to detach. We can't have any biases or attachments. A lot of us, for a long time, I was attached to meat and protein and all these things, and you couldn't tell me anything. 10 years ago, or actually, I just found out I've been vegan. I didn't even know how long I've been vegan, for 12 years or something like that. I thought it was 10. So let's say 15 years ago, if you try to tell me, oh, you should eat fruit or vegetables, I would have been like, nah, man. I was still attached. I was still attached to those foods. So no matter what you told me, I would have denied it. And I would have said, no, well, this doctor says meat's good, and he looks like he's in good shape, because I didn't know. I was ignorant. We're in a world of ignorance. How do we undo the ignorance? The only thing we can ever do is presence and purification, for our work on ourselves and allow God to work through us. That's the only thing we can ever really do. Because remember, there's no control. There is no choice. That's all an illusion that comes with the thinking mind. So important. This is why I repeat it constantly. So if you're stressed out, if you're getting hung up on the past, the shame, guilt, regret, and it's what's interesting, and I see a lot of people in the spiritual space who are talking about, you got to make this choice. You're in control. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to manifest. And you're still caught in the game, trying to do anything. What does God want? What is surrender? What does everyone ever, all these the high spiritual beings ever tell us? Just give it all up. Surrender. Don't try to do anything. Jesus never said, manifest. You should try to manifest this thing. He just said, surrender to God, right? Or maybe he did. I don't know. But anyway, they say, surrender. Give it all up to God, because God just is waiting for us to give us his full attention, to allow God to work through us. Because when we fully surrender and we raise our vibration through presence and purification, you're naturally going to attract what the divine is, your highest life that the divine has in store for you. That's all we got to do. You don't got to you automatically, in a sense, manifest or attract your vibration. So all we got to do is work on presence and purification, which raises our vibration, and that'll take care of everything. And the divine will work through us, right? So anyway, I guess all that has something to do with if I could never eat fruit. Again, everything's related. That's why I always end up talking about the same talking points every video, because they're all extremely important. We all need to be constantly reminded of these things, because the illusion is very strong. I'm reminded daily how strong the illusion is, because I keep getting sucked in too. I'm not immune to it. It's not like I'm present all the time. I don't have cosmic consciousness. I'm right here with you guys. I'm still fighting the good fight. I'm still removing the aggravators. I still catch myself when you get caught in the aggravators a little too much. When I get a little bit out of balance, I say, well, I'm a little bit out of balance. What are the main aggravators? Immediately I say, okay, what are the main aggravators? Phone, what other kind of stimulation, right? I'm thinking too much. I caught myself thinking. That's going to get me out of balance. That's going to start the stress. That's going to start the cycles of thought, start the cycles of stress, start your ego is going to creep in and say, oh, I'm somebody doing something. Oh, well, this person said something to me. This person cut me off. How dare they? How dare they cut my somebodyness off? Right? All that comes from the thinking mind. So it always comes back to presence and purification to regain. That'll automatically correct all of our imbalances and allow the divine to work through us, which is all there really is to do. That's how we change the world in the highest way. By allowing the divine, giving our vessels up, surrendering our vessels to the cosmic beloved, and allowing the cosmic beloved to work through us. So anyway, if you were thinking about trying to change your diet and saying, well, I would like to purify the body, I would like to detoxify my body, I would like to become a higher vessel for God, how do I do it? Presence and purification, right? It starts with presence. We have to meditation as much as possible, facilitate a state of peace as much as possible. Start removing all the things that aggravate the thinking mind. We have to stop thinking. How do we stop thinking? We got to remove the aggravators, the stimulators, aggravators, and the information, right? And this is not just like phone, but there's food. It's acidic and mucus forming food that's toxic food for our body, toxic things we're smoking or drinking or eating or putting on our skin, chemicals, anything you put on your skin. Your skin, if you can't eat it, don't put it on your skin because your skin absorbs it instantly and goes in your bloodstream, right? I'm very careful. I don't put anything on my skin, really. I was desperate. I put some natural, natural oils based bug spray on when I was mowing the lawn, right? That's about the extent of what I try to put on my skin, unless it's all herbs or something. Like I have some good salve for like cuts or whatever from Dr. Morse. That's good. Yeah, I've been very careful because remember, I'm trying to purify this vessel to the highest possible degree because that is one of the highest devotions to God. We are God. These vessels are vessels of God. So the highest thing we can do, aside from presence, surrender, is purify these vessels, the physical part of it, right? Because all this is going to help us align and calm the mind. Anything we do, or the illusion of doing or allowing things to do, it doesn't matter, however you want to put it, is basically coming to support allowing us to stay present and surrender more and more consistently, because that is the highest attainment, that is the highest connection with the divine, is staying present. It's completely giving up all attachments, all thought of control, of knowing, of thinking we're somebody, of trying to do anything. These are the highest thing we can do to connect with the cosmic beloved, is give it all up. And that's something that's my daily focus every day. I wake up, I say, I am God's eternal love pouring forth, because that is what we become when we surrender. You're a vessel, you're a conduit for God's eternal love unto everything and everyone. And now everything I do, obviously you don't got to even try to do anything, even if you're working. I'm working, I don't have to think. Everybody thinks, well, I got to think to work. I got to think. Just relax. That's all you got to do, ever. Everything that happens was always going to happen. So you don't have to worry about making the wrong choice or making a choice. There's always a lesson to be learned if something goes some way. Anyone you ever meet, you're going to meet them. I always think that when I make eye contact with a random person, I'm like, oh, what's up? And that's it. I mean, I don't really talk to them. But I mean, I'm like, that's wild. You know what I mean? If I get diverted on traffic, or this happens, or I see that, I'm like, wow, I was meant to see that. There's never a leaf unturned. There's never a leaf that's turned that isn't purposely turned by God, or something. I messed that up bad. I butchered that. Ram Dass says that quote a lot. God is in control at all, my friends. Ain't nothing to do, right? So every time I get caught in the game, or I get stressed, or you know what I mean, or I fall out of balance, remember, changing your diet, purification, is all about balance, 100% about balance. I was severely out of balance. I was so severely out of balance, it took me 5 or 6 years to get enough balance to start getting more consistently raw than consistently fruit. Some people, it's amazing. Some people can do it overnight. That is fantastic. That has not been the case for me at all. It doesn't matter what you tried to tell me, or how many videos on raw and eating fruit and cravings you told me. I did as much as I could, but I was so severely out of balance. And I'm here to tell you, it's okay if it takes time. It's a journey. It's a process. And you don't have to match anybody else. Just because someone else goes from a standard American diet, eating junk food, to all fruit, all one mono eating fruit overnight, that doesn't mean anything for you. It doesn't matter. You have to balance yourself. Remember, and again, how do we balance ourselves so we can better purify the body, which helps calm the mind, which helps us stay present, surrender to our cosmic beloved, facilitate a state of peace. What does that mean? Removing all the things that aren't a state of peace as much as possible. And as we raise our vibration through presence and purification, this will remove some of these things automatically. Like one of my friends, Kevin, if you're watching this, what's up, man? I appreciate your support and your love. He asked, I was going to make a separate video on this. I think I will. I'm just going to mention it briefly. He said, oh, how do we deal with toxic, difficult people. What's interesting is I've had a lot of toxic, difficult people in my life, but as we continue to practice presence and purification and raise our vibration, these people will fall off naturally. You don't got to do anything, which is crazy. That's just part of it. I'm going to wrap this up, my friends. I could go on forever. Thank you for joining me. Any questions or comments or anything you want to say or mention, please throw in the comments below. Oh, my video cut out. I got to clear up some space on my phone. Thank you for joining me again, my friends. I love you so much. You are loved unconditionally and eternally. You've never done anything wrong. You've never made a wrong choice. I know if you're struggling, if you're suffering, know that God is there for you. God loves you unconditionally. Our cosmic beloved is there waiting. Our cosmic beloved is waiting for us to give our attention up completely to God. That's all they're waiting for. So everything else we're putting our attention on, I'm saying, yeah, kids, I'm not saying, what I'm saying is all the stimulation, aggravation, information, all these things that are stimulating, aggravating the cycles of thought, right? Like not good music. Like I listen to healing music. Entertainment, scrolling your phones is a big source of stimulation. Junk food, things like this. A lot of these things you have to work on getting off of. But recognizing what's aggravating the thinking mind, and know that being present and stopping thinking is possible. And this is the answer to all of our problems. Presence and purification correct all of our imbalances. I started a video saying I was severely out of balance. Severely out of balance. My chemistry was jacked up. And it still is quite a bit. It's a long process to fix these lifelong issues that we've built up. I'm working on it. I still got lots of inflammation in my spine, but the more I'm consistent on fruit and watermelon, things like this, especially juicy fruit, you want to hydrate the cells. You want to clean out the lymphatic system, clean out the colon, get the kidneys filtering correctly. You want to see sediment in your urine when you pee in a jar. These things will help detoxify and cleanse the body. And these alkaline, hydrating foods, especially fruits, that'll help calm the mind, which helps us stay present, which helps us balance, right? So it's all a beautiful cycle, my friends. You can do it. You can absolutely change your diet and change your life. You can absolutely do it. If I can do it, you can absolutely do it. Try meditation. I encourage you. If you're watching this video, then you probably need to hear this. Start meditating every day. Let's say 5 minutes. I don't have time. You do. Stop all the stuff how much time you waste on your phone or watching TV or anything. And nothing else is as important as presence and purification, which starts with meditation, right? At night, after my kids go to bed, finally, right? It's always a long day. I watch my kids full time. It's pretty exhausting. They don't go to bed till sometimes almost 8 o'clock, my son. Then I have a little bit of time. Now, if I have an hour or an hour and a half before I want to go to bed, I'd like to go to bed earlier, but my schedule is what it is right now. I'm not fighting it, right? What do I do in my hour I have available? Do I sit there on my phone? I try not to. Mostly no, I don't. I might try to post something or maybe update my journal. I have a journal on my phone, right? What do I do if I have an hour or hour and a half before I go to bed? It is 100% devoted to self-care. Things like what? Stretching before bed. I just started doing some Qigong to help me sleep, which I believe has been helping me fall asleep faster, actually. Meditation, if I have time or energy, right? Meditation, I kind of throw in meditations throughout the day as well, and sometimes in the morning. Right now, I'm focused on balance and especially sleeping. So I've kind of not put as much pressure on myself to do a lot of these things. I'm trying to focus mainly on balancing my chemistry and my sleep, but throwing in meditations, usually in the middle of the day, I can get one in, right? As long as I'm trying to be consistent as possible. Start meditating. Anytime you have a free time, instead of looking at your phone, you don't need to search for anything. You don't need to look up anything. You don't need to read anything. All you got to do is presence purification, my friends. That's it. So you're in your car, you're in a break at work. I did a lot of meditating in my breaks at work. Go for a walk. Do a walking meditation. Just try to focus on your breathing and the sounds of nature and just go for a walk, right? That's a meditation. There's lots of different ways, right? just sit down and listen to some relaxing music. If you're in your car, if you're at home, in your bed, on your couch, in a chair, anywhere, right? As much as possible, as much free time as you have. Obviously, you've got other responsibilities. Start doing it. Facilitate a state of peace. Start removing things that if you feel are aggravating you or aggravating your energy, right? If there's toxic people in your life, you have no obligation to stay around people that are throwing you out of balance, because what's the most important thing? Gaining balance enough to calm the mind so we can be present, right? And then eventually we'll be able to deal with these aggravators more directly without getting out of balance. So you can absolutely do it, my friends. Start meditating. Start listening to things like, if you're interested in purifying and detoxifying the body, start listening to Dr. Morse videos. Dr. Robert Morse. He's got a ton of awesome videos that will tell you exactly how you purify the body and fix any health issues you have. It all starts with the lymphatic system, the body sewer system. Those are other videos because I could go on for a while about those. You got to clean the body and hydrate the body. Get rid of all the acids and mucus-forming foods. Very important, because acids aggravate, which is another thing that's going to make it harder to calm the mind. I've noticed directly that when I'm on all fruits, my mind is more calm. Well, then if you add in other stimulators, that can go blah, 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 right? Anyway, I love you all. Thank you for joining me. May the cosmic beloved grant you peace and presence and patience and understanding and health and abundance, which will all come as we give it all up. And we give it up to presence, the surrender to our cosmic beloved as we purify the body. Everything will come into alignment. That's all we got to do. We don't got to think about nothing. We don't got to plan nothing. We don't got to get hung up on anything that's happened in the past or it's going to happen in the future, because it's all perfect, my friends. Wow, this is a long one. I haven't made a video in a while. I've been focusing on my balance, which is the most important. Like I said, what's more important than me trying to hammer out videos like I was doing? But I felt like doing it, right? I was naturally, is getting back in balance enough to where I can make more videos. But the balance comes first. My sleep and my well-being always comes first before doing anything. Anything you're trying to accomplish or do, which you don't got to try to do anything, right? I'm just saying it's something that's kind of coming out of me, right? But I recognize that sleep, my being exhausted, needs to be fixed. My digestion needs attention. I need to focus more on purifying and cleansing the body. Thank you, my friends. I love you. If you'd like to say it with me, I am God's eternal love pouring forth. I am God's eternal love pouring forth. Namaste.